Actually, we're live now, so we got about 2 minutes before the show starts. So I'm gonna go ahead and share it to your page. Welcome everybody. Uh, Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the U-Turn Show.
Better turn off my TV.
All right.
Mm. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Richard.
All right. Assalamu alaikum. Here we go. We're about to start now. Let me go ahead and switch the microphones.
Aiden, Grifton, Southside, Greenville, North Carolina. I try to be a better man, but folks just don't understand. Try to do all I can to deal with this addiction in me. Lord, I want to change. I can't stay the same. But the sins that in my vein is trying its best just to kill me.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the U-Turn Show. I am your host, Richard Taylor, and we are here on Awesome Radio. The call letters are 106.9 FM here in Greenville. And if you have not already visited our website, please go to the website, which is www.wbisawesomeradio.org. And you can download all of our apps either on the Google Play, the Alexa, or the Apple Store. And please feel free to call in 252-756-2008. Once again, we want to thank God for bringing us to another week to be on the air. I want to thank each and every one of our listeners in Radio Land, also our listeners on Facebook and YouTube. We got a continuation show tonight. We have my brother Atif, Cortez Taylor. Assalamu alaikum, my brother.
Walaikum
salam. Peace be unto you as well. So we got another good show, man. I got my brother Atif, who was here last week. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing really good.
Okay. And I'm gonna give you all a recap of the show just in case you missed last week. My brother, and once again, you gotta correct me, but you were born, I think, in DC. Grew up in Maryland. And he went to some details of the story, but I'm gonna just give you the short version. I think he got charged with the murder that he didn't commit at the age of 17, right? Was it 17?
Yeah.
17, stayed in jail for about 2 years, got out and was convicted of another murder, accidental murder. And I think you did how long on that last sentence? Before you?
Well, I did 15 and I escaped and stayed gone for 20 years, and then they caught me and I did 15 more after that.
All right, okay. So we're gonna start off at that point. After the 15 years, I think you said you went to you got committed to a mental institution, and they actually was able to let you out because you according to your words, you said you fooled them, and pretty much they started running all those tests and they tried to cure you, but you didn't need to be cured, but you played the game and you actually was able to be free, and then they actually wanted to put you back in, and that's when you went on the run.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went on the run and went to Atlanta.
Yeah, okay. So you went on the run and went to Atlanta. So why did you choose Atlanta? Who was in Atlanta?
Nobody. It was, I don't know. It's, Allah, God has been protecting me all my life, and you know, when it fall in my hand like that, I just go with it.
Oh, okay.
'Cause
So you got so you left where was you at? You was in Maryland?
no, I was in DC at the time.
You were still in DC and went to
'Cause
Atlanta.
my first 2 weeks of on the run, I stayed in DC, and something said, you know, you can't stay here because they're gonna find you.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and so I went where I knew they couldn't find me.
In Atlanta. So how was it when you first got to Atlanta? Like you said, you didn't know anybody, and you know, so how did you
It was rough. It was rough because I spent one night in the MARTA station. MARTA is the mass transit for Atlanta.
Okay.
And I was in the West End, which is primarily the black side of the black side of Atlanta, Southwest, right? So, and that was my first night there. I spent it in that station. The next day I went down to a place called Manpower, day labor.
Your temp service.
Yeah, and got a day labor job. I got paid, and I had to pay a guy to cash it because I didn't have ID. And I went and ran the room, a rooming house on the West End, and I kept going back and forth to work to day labor. And matter of fact, that's the only bus route I knew was from the West End to Industrial Parkway. You know,
okay.
down on the very end of Camp Creek.
Okay.
But man, it was a trip because I had to have a change of clothes. I had to have hygiene stuff, and I couldn't gather. I couldn't carry a bunch of stuff. I couldn't collect a bunch of stuff because I had to. I rented the room by the night.
Okay.
And those guys were ripping each other off and stealing from each other. And you be gone during the day. You come back and you know. A dope fiend down the street will be wearing your shoes. And he didn't steal it. Somebody, you know, the guy probably somebody threw him away, he picked him up and put him on, you know, and you can't go off on him, right?
Yeah.
So I was carrying my stuff with me, and I met a lady.
I
made a phone call to somebody, and I met a lady over the phone.
Okay.
Christian lady, and I'm not gonna call her name, but she's still alive. And we got to talking, right? And she said, "Well, you don't sound like you're from the South." I said, "No, I'm from DC." Well, she said, "I'm from DC, right?"
Okay.
She was from Northwest Washington, DC. It was her daughter, and her old man, and she had this big house in East Point, Georgia. She told me, she said, "Well, I'll rent your room, you know." I told her I was renting rooms, right? And I caught the bus out there to 84 Mount Olive. I'll never forget it. And I went out there and I paid her. I went there and fell asleep. I got up the next morning and I went and got on the bus and went back to work. And but you know, living in East Point made my bus ride an hour and a half, almost 2 hours.
Okay.
So I had to catch the very first bus to get out to Fulton Industrial Parkway. And after that, I stopped working temporary. I got a job at a Blimpies. There's a Blimpies. Anybody who listening to this who know anything about Atlanta, about Greenbrier Mall, right across the street from Greenbrier Mall, there's a Blimpies.
And it's a little sub shop though, right?
Yeah. I got a job in there, man, working the evening shift. I didn't have a car, so I had to walk from Greenbrier all the way out Stone Hogan Road to Stone Road to Mount Olive Road to East Point. It's about a 4 or 5 mile walk, man. And
okay.
I walked to work and I walked back to work. And because I didn't like the long walk, I volunteered to work a second shift. And I was there. I was getting like 80 hours a week.
So you started to save up some money then? A
little bit, yeah. But I I still didn't have ID.
Okay.
And one day I was off work, and I'm a Muslim, and and they were Christians,
Okay.
and they were always playing that church music real loud and praise the Lord, and yes, Jesus loves me and all that stuff. And they were driving me crazy, man.
Okay. Okay.
So I went for a walk, and I walked down to a place called the Buggy Works in East Point, Georgia, and there were some people working on the roof, so I climbed up there and did some labor, and I got all this black soot and tar over me. I had a beard, and I had a bald head, and I was messed up, and I was funky, right? And I was thirsty, man. I was thirsty. I was hot and dehydrated. So there was that Social Security office there. And I went in there, and I said, so, no, there was a place next to Social Security. I went and asked for water. They told me no. I said, okay. So the next one when I went to Social Security office, I went into my acting role. I went in there and I said, excuse me, miss, I need some hot water, please. So, and she's an older black lady, right? She said, oh my goodness, yes, you guys are hot water. You look so thirsty. So, I drank my fill of the water, and she asked me, she said, where do you live? I said, down the street. Right? She says, well, where you from? I said, Virginia. Well, what's your name? I said, Richard Emerson. So she said, write it down for me. So I mean, we talked, and it was hot outside. The AC was on, and she said, we started talking about paperwork, because she asked me, I asked her, how could I get a copy of my Social Security card? I said, do y'all give them out? She said, no. So she said, well, what's your number? Oh, no, I ain't not have one. She said, well, what do you mean you want one? I said, well, I meant to say I need one. Because I'm working, and I'm working real hard. And she said, so she filled out the paperwork for me because I told her I could barely read and write.
Okay.
And she applied for one. And this is how God be moving, man. This is how God be moving.
Okay.
And I shouldn't be talking about this.
Yeah, so she applied for you a Social Security card.
Oh yeah.
And you got a whole new number.
Mm-hmm.
Cause you okay, all right, okay.
And I was off and running after that.
All right. Hey, Lady T. Greater Works with Lady T. How you doing? Cortez Taylor says God has been good to you, my brother. Well, go ahead. So once you got the fake Social Security number, you was good.
Hey, I had saved up a bunch of money. I went and bought a car because I could drive back and forth to work. But I kept buying them used cars off of Stewart Avenue. And man, every 2 weeks, them things would break down. I didn't know nothing about working on cars.
Okay.
And I had to stop. I had to learn how to work on cars. I worked for that guy, Joe Alphone, and that Blimpies for about 19 months. And everything was real good at the house I was staying at until I think they just had enough of me not going to church and not. And I mean, they would make a big pot of greens and I'd be hungry, but they have all this pork swimming in it. Ham hocks and stuff, right? So I snapped. I said, look, you know I'm Muslim. I told you that when I moved in. I don't eat no pork. I say, and I pay my bills and my food's included. And I can't eat none of the food because you put pork. They even put bacon drippings in the corn.
Yeah, that's the South, man. They gotta have the pork to season everything, man.
Hey,
you know that.
Man,
you know that.
I was eating vegetables out of the can.
Yeah.
I would open the can and eat it cold, right? But I quit. I had to quit the Blimpies because things got crazy there, right? And I started working on at a club as a bouncer, a a place called VFW on a Campbellton Road in Delowe. It was on Campbellton and Delowe. I was working for a guy named Buddy Gloss.
Mm-hmm.
He was a gangster, real gangster. I mean,
All right.
for real. He's an 85-year-old gangster.
Okay.
He paid me good. He paid me $300 a night, worked 2 nights a week, on Friday and Saturday. And I worked on the door as a bouncer. And when he went home, if he went home early, I would drive him as a bodyguard. And I was armed and everything, man. I was.
Okay, you was armed security.
Oh yeah. But I was a G in those days, man. I don't want to talk as if I'm reminiscing, right?
Okay.
I kind of am a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
I know I can't never return to those days, right?
Yeah.
My moral thing won't let me do that. But man,
so you was working at the club with a bouncer, and as a bouncer, and how long did you do that for?
I did that for about from 84 to 87.
Okay.
88, right? And then I left there and I got a job. See, I would do that on the weekends, and during the week I wasn't working at Blippy anymore. I was doing house remodeling with a company in Fremont and East Point. And I forget their names, man. I forget the name of the company, but it was Old Man Woody and Old Man John, 2 old white guys. And man, they were a-holes, man. They was terrible.
Yeah.
So I got fired off of that job because I wouldn't paint. I can paint pretty good, but he wasn't paying me to paint, so I said I'm not painting. And he poked his chest out. Let me tell you something. You're gonna paint. I said, if you don't get out of my face, I'll make you eat this paintbrush that you waving around. So he said, get off my job. He went to the truck and got a shotgun. I ran off the job, man.
I
And
assume you ain't get your check. I assume you ain't get your last check, did you?
Well, what I did was I went to the police and got them to go get my check. See, one thing I learned. If I wasn't breaking law, then I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm paying taxes. That the police work for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I went right down to the police precinct and told them, look, guy pulled a shotgun on me because he didn't want to pay me my money. So the East Point police went right down there and got my money and came and gave it to me.
And you ain't had no fear because you was on the run, or you was comfortable with the.
In those days, I thought I was bulletproof. I didn't have no fear or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care. I didn't have any restraints on putting my hands on people. I had regressed into being the worst kind of guy on the planet. I was off the chain. I'm not going to talk about some of that stuff I did.
Yeah. Because you talked about it a little in the first episode. So, but for those who didn't watch it, he definitely put in some work, throughout the years, and I think you're right about that a little bit too. I guess we'll get to a couple of those pieces, later on in the story. Hello, Felicia. Felicia says hello, everyone. How you doing, Felicia? My brother Cortez says, tell your story, brother. Take your time because some people don't know the truth.
Okay.
And, go ahead.
The whole time I was out, I kept a journal stuff, right? And my encounters, how I felt about them, some of them left a stain on me. Right. So, because I had to involve myself in things in such a way as to bring out my worst side. Right. And therein lies the stain, on my hands. Right. So, but I work with a guy named Brian. I won't call his last name because he's probably watching. He's a white guy. He lives in Buchanan, Georgia. He knew I'm talking about him, but if I don't use his name, he won't sue me. I work with him. He and I used to work for John and Woody together, and we quit the same day. And he started his own business. He's a master carpenter, and we started remodeling houses in East Point and Atlanta, and in Clayton, Fulton County and Clayton County,
Okay.
Georgia. They had a program then. HUD had a program that if people lived in the house, they could borrow as much money as it takes to get their house remodeled, but they had to live in it, and they only had to pay back $1 a year.
Wow.
Yeah, that was that HUD program was in place a long time, and Brian must have got to be a millionaire. Anyway, I worked for him. I did demolitions, and he taught me carpentry. He taught me drywall. He never came near me about painting, but he used to brag to people that he says I was the hardest working black man he ever met. He said that I outworked him because all I ever wanted to do was get a job and just chill out and get a family and live my life as a free man. Because circumstances behind that second murder wasn't my fault. I didn't, I was involved. It wasn't a murder, period. So
like a manslaughter, basically.
Well, actually, it was a self-defense. But Maryland doesn't have self-defense.
True.
Maryland has justifiable killing, and the lawyer.
We got to take our first break real quick, brother RT. We'll be right back at you. 106.9 Awesome Radio.
When was the Ice Age? This is Ken Ham celebrating Christmas at the Ark Encounter and Creation Museum. Yesterday, we learned that, yes, there was an ice age, but only one, not many, like secular scientists suggest. But when was this ice age? Well, it was caused by the effects of the global flood of Noah's day. This flood occurred around 4,300 years ago. So the ice age began relatively soon after that and lasted a few hundred years. Interestingly, Job, who lived around the time of Abraham, often mentions snow, ice, and hail throughout his book. But this isn't weather he would normally see where he lived. Perhaps Job was describing the Ice Age. When we start with the history recorded in God's Word, we can explain what we see in the world.
Join us in Northern Kentucky for our free Christmas events at the Ark Encounter and the Creation Museum. Plan your visit at AnswersRadio.com. That's AnswersRadio.com.
This is a Love Language Minute with Dr. Gary Chapman. A listener writes, Gary, at what age do you recommend a mom and dad starting the discussion of sexual intimacy with their children?
I would say it's almost never too early. Now, obviously, you don't talk to an infant about sexuality, but I do believe at 3 years of age, you can begin talking about how did I get to be? Where did I come from? How are babies born? 3, 4, 5-year-old. Incidentally, there's a great series of books that are put out by NAV Press for almost every age to help parents. For example, book 1, it's entitled God's Design for Sex. It's for ages 3 through 5. Book 2 is Before I Was Born, ages 5 to 8, and then they have 2 others. These are great tools that I would recommend for parents in helping them communicate sexuality to children in a meaningful way.
Dr. Gary Chapman is the author of The 5 Love Languages. For more, go to 5lovelanguages.com.
Lord, I hope this ain't too grand for me to die up in these streets. Oh Lord, can you help me?
And we are back here at 106.9 Awesome Radio. 106.9 Awesome Radio. I am your host, Richard Taylor, back with the U-Turn Show. My special guest, my brother Atif, and we were talking about the first instance. We're going to get right into that real quick, though. I do have a couple of comments I want to read. Danielle Green, I guess she says, hey, how you doing, Danielle? And my brother Cortez Taylor, and if I'm not mistaken, Cortez, it might be, I think that's Footy. It might be my brother Footy. If that's Footy, give me a confirmation. But he asked you a question, brother Atif. He says that the brother that did a lot of time, same as you, how do you get over the feeling of being inside and always feeling the pain, no matter being outside the wall? PTSD, so to speak. Do you got an answer for the young brother, brother RT?
Yeah. I had a mind. My brain was like a steel trap. I never let it get into my head. And one of my methods for that was putting it on paper. I write everything down. And I didn't write it down and say, well, I saw a guy get shanked in the dining room today and blood everywhere. Nothing like that. I would write it in a freestyle poetry. As a matter of fact, let me read something to you.
Yeah. And is this out of emotional 1, emotional 2, or emotional 3? Because he, once again, he is an author. So
this is out of emotional 1.
Emotional 1, okay.
And it's called Human Ethic.
Human Ethic?
Yeah.
All right.
Man's inhumanity to man lingers just below the surface of us all. Deciding to express what? Depending on the expectations, dancing within the rejections. Okay, let me break that down.
All right, yeah, please.
Man's inhumanity to man, the acts, the things that we do to each other.
Yes.
Whether they're mindful or mindless.
Mm-hmm.
We see it all the time. We see it happen. In prison, it's best not to involve yourself in stuff that don't concern you. Sometimes we don't do what's best, because there was times that I would see something getting ready to go down, I would step over and say, man, don't do that. Let that go. Walk away. Because there's a lot of black on black crime, a lot of black on black violence, rage and hate. And it says man's inhumanity to man lingers just below the surface of us all. So deciding to express what? It's a question, right? What are you expressing in your in your humanity to your fellow man, right? Mm-hmm. So depending on the expectations, dancing within the rejections. Dancing is like walking away, running away. And if you fight and you're dancing, you're on your toes, moving. It's movement. Dancing is movement. Within the rejections. When you reject your humanity and you get off into inhumane things. Because so much as walking up and pushing somebody, that's an inhumane gesture because you made physical contact with someone and you didn't have permission to do so. Let me read some more.
Okay.
Man's inhumanity to man himself, never seeing all of the questions, driven by impatience and fear, enforcing the lie that tough men don't cry. You feel me?
Enforcing the lie that tough man don't cry.
Yeah, because that's man inhumanity to himself if he denies himself the emotional release.
Mm-hmm.
PTSD has a lot to do with emotionally releasing things in your mind. It's like you got a bag of coal, you've been carrying it around, and you got your back hurt. Put it down and walk away from it. Mm-hmm. Put it down. Just be strong to let it go. All right. The next phrase is, the next one is I'm a man living with my memories. My inhumanity to you. Arrested, indicted, tried, and put on a shelf. Then pushed to do more inhumane acts. Pushed by the system that thrives on hate. Mm. The prison system thrives on hatred, red hot rage. And back in the day when I first went there, they had things in place for rehabilitation. They have since eliminated that. Anyone coming home now needs to go to therapy, go somewhere and sit down and talk to somebody and get off his chest. Because now there is no rehabilitation. They cut out educational programs. They cut out so much. Says I'm a man living with my memories. I'm talking about now, right? Not now, but now in 80. I must have wrote this in 84, 85.
Okay.
I'm living with the memories of prison, the memories of the therapeutic institutions, excuse me, the memories of, see, I didn't get through prison and didn't put my hands on nobody.
Okay.
Right. And I had to lash out. I had to hurt some people because I was light skinned. I had light eyes. I had a head full of hair. I mean, kind of talking like that. But I had a head full of hair. I was a good looking guy, young kid,
Yep.
right?
Uh-huh.
But and a lot of them Baltimore guys, not all of them, but most of them, they gay as a $3 bill. Because I mean, you got to be gay anytime you look at another man and you get an erection and you want to go over there and do something to him and fight him and choke him and stab him and then do it to him. That takes a special kind of individual.
That's sick.
And it's an illness. It's a mental illness. And to keep that off of me, I had to be aware when a guy looked at me, he stared too long. I would step around the corner. I take my shank out of my hiding place, out my belt, out my sleeve, and I step back around there and ask him, "Did you like what you saw? I saw you looking at my butt." And if he did anything other than scream and lay on the floor and say I'm sorry, I stab him. And I stab him 2 or 3 times without any regard as to whether I kill him or not. And I let his buddies know. I say, I ain't no sissy. You're not gonna do that to me, right? If anything, you catch me and kill me, but you're not gonna make no punk out of me. And that's how I live my life. I don't want to be nobody's fat,
Yeah, and that was the first time, like the first before you went on the run. Just a couple of comments real quick. Said Cortez Taylor, Goldsboro is my home, and New York is where I live, and the people here are not what it is at home. So at times, guidance from the elders or the man who pulled the brothers up is not here. So I need this love from the Taylor group. I appreciate you, Cortez. You said I'm not footy. You said I'm Pedon, and I asked, okay, I'm glad you let me know who you were, man. It's good to hear from you, bro. I know you only been home like maybe a year or maybe 2 years. So this is actually my cousin, and I haven't seen him since he been home. I know he did quite a bit of time as well. So I definitely welcome you home, and I thank you for tuning in. And definitely thank. He said Marcus Garvey says in the letter to the black man, tough times don't last. Tough people do. My brother Patrick Williams, how you doing, sir, man? Good to see you as well. But yeah, definitely, I just had to recognize that because it's a lot of guys like yourself who went in there, young men, and had to do things to defend themselves, or not even defend themselves, but sometimes you just got to go in there and make it be known that hey, ain't nobody gonna bother me, and then soon as people see that you don't let nobody bother you, then you kind of get that respect, and the least you have. Now I don't know, like you said, back in the days it was kind of different, but and we actually got 7 seconds for our break. We're gonna come right back with Brother Atif, Awesome Radio 106.9.
A pastor is slandered on social media. How does his ministry deal with that? Stay tuned.
Tough questions, reliable answers. That's the Legal Alert with attorney David Gibbs Jr. of the Christian Law Association.
An annoyed Illinois pastor called our Christian Law Association attorneys to report that a disgruntled former church member was slandering the ministry on social media, saying things that were simply not true. Believe it or not, it's a call that we receive on a regular basis. I can say almost always daily. It happens all the time. How does the ministry respond? Well, the Christian Law Association attorney gave the pastor wise legal advice that he was needing. And when the attorney gave the words of encouragement from Matthew 5, where we're required to love our enemies, the pastor said then he's going to follow with the right attitude. Remember, you have to do the right thing the right way. If you're being slandered on media, there are steps you can take, but do the right thing with the right attitude.
That's attorney David Gibbs Jr. Visit our website for legal brochures, our e-alert newsletter, publication catalog, and more. Find us at christianlaw.org. That's christianlaw.org.
Can you save me?
How well do you know your neighbors, or do you know them at all? I'm Lena Eguchamra, and this is Today's Single Christian. My friend Sue lives in a town of 800. When I heard how small her town was, I assumed she would know her neighbors or almost every single person in her town. Imagine my shock when she told me that though she has lived in her town for almost a decade, Sue only knows about 1 out of 800 people. I was blown away until I thought about my own neighborhood and how little I know of my neighbors. Though there may be a million people in Chicago, my job isn't to know them all, but to love my neighbors, just a handful of people on my street, or that guy in the cubicle at work, or anyone I rub shoulders with on any given day. How well do you know your neighbors? If they were going through a crisis, would they know to come to you for prayer? Let's be better neighbors from now on. Let's step out of our comfort zones and love like never before. For more resources to help you thrive, visit todaysinglechristtian.com or email me at lena@todaysinglechristtian.com.
And we are back, 106.9 Awesome Radio, and back with my special guest, Brother Atif. And once again, we're in the middle of his story, and so
hey, let me finish reading. Excuse me for cutting you.
Yeah, no,
let
no.
me finish reading this poem, and then reflect back.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So my inhumanity to you, arrested, indicted, tried, and put on a shelf, then pushed to do more inhumane acts, pushed by a system that thrives on hate. Man's inhumanity to me, hair, teeth, and blood all on the floor, living, not dying, living to one even the score. Nothing will make me feel even. Nothing will even the score. Nothing can get my teeth back, or my hair and blood off the floor. There is nothing that will measure the hate and red hot rage every time I see the uniform. This human ethic being taught is counter to every fiber of my soul. I can do nothing for my enemy. We hate each other. Then now, they now use me as a money-making tool. Lock me up, change everything to hold me, hide me from the world, hurt me and drug me, then sit and watch me die in justice's name. I am in every prison in America, every place of holding. Now you want me to be so beaten down until I buy into your mid-game? I pray with every fiber you feel safe. No, I pay with my life. You feel safe. With me tricked into submission while I wait to die. If you were on fire, I wouldn't piss on you and put you out. That's how I feel. I should feel. If you have never been chained up with steel to steel, beaten for real, you can't know how I feel. No peace for you. That's the kind of stuff that we run into. Brother Cortez, see, I went on the run for 20 years. Then they caught me and took me back for 15 more. The second 15 was the worst nightmare of my life. I mean, it was. When I went back in, there were gangs. The Bloods, the Crips, the BGF, the Dogs, the GDs. And they literally run all of the prisons in Maryland. And Baltimore prisons, the prisons in Baltimore are run by the BGF. And
Black guerrilla family, right?
Yeah. They have Crips in there, they have Bloods, but they run it. And it was different than the first time I went to prison. See, when I went back, I was 50 years old. When they picked me up, I had life, and Maryland was determined to hold me for life. And it was easy to keep them out my head when I was young, because I was young and I was wild and I was stupid, and I had not had any kind of life of living as a husband or boyfriend or nothing like that when I was young. But when I was out for those 20 years, I lived like a married man. I helped raise babies. I worked to pay taxes. I had some good jobs. I worked for Eastern Airlines. I worked for Delta Airlines. I had a nice life. When they took me back, then it hurt. Then that hurt. That hurt. Had I been a weaker man, it would have broke me down. You say PTSD. I came home in 2015, Christmas Eve, and I moved down here to North Carolina 6 months after I got out. And only about 7 years, 6 years. And I only 2 years ago stopped jumping at every sound that I hear out my window. The trees, them brush the roof. I get up and I go to the corner and wait. I was crazy, man, for real. I would not have survived in the house with a woman, when I first came home, because I don't know any women who put up with that kind of craziness, right? I would shower on a Monday and not go out the house until Friday, and not shower again until Friday. It was in my head, in my brain. My mind was, I kind of lost my mind. Because all I did when I went back in was fight my case legally. Fight my case. I had a couple of run-ins with the gang boys, but rather than just blank out and hurt them or kill them, I had learned to use my wits early on in life, right?
Yeah.
So, and when I was young, I said, I'm not thinking about this. Let me knock this fool's head off.
Okay.
But now I wanted to go home. I wanted to go back to being somebody's live-in boyfriend or husband. I want to go back to being seen as a father, and so I had to conduct myself accordingly. And now that you're out, you have to find a way to let go. I can't tell you what way you to let go, but you have to find a way. Get you a mirror, man. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. Get you a mirror. The next time that you have those crazy thoughts in your head, get you a mirror and look at yourself. That's an exercise that I did, right? And I had to face who I was inside. Introspection, right? And read as many books as you can. Not religious stuff. I read tech manuals. Go to the library and get a book on quantum theory. Even if you are at a third grade math level. Because you're not reading it to learn quantum theory. You're reading to understand what they're saying.
Okay.
You're trying to occupy your mind with something other than survival. And what are they thinking about? Are they thinking about me? I'm going to fix them. I'm going to show them. Read a tech manual on how to fix bicycles. Read a tech manual on how to do HVAC. Or if you learn to trade in the joint, any kind of trade, take that to the next level. Occupy yourself. See, the mind is your brain, right? You have to occupy it with something other than the negative thoughts. You put the positive in there and push the negative out. The negative people in your life, push them out. That's the one thing about North Carolina that I love the most, is I don't have anybody from my old life down here to tell me about it. Of course, I have contact with people from my past, but the rules are we don't have any conversations about the past. We talk about today and tomorrow, right? Those are the rules. And because I mean, man, I got horror stories.
Yeah.
See, Mr. T, see these?
Yeah, but that was the part you were talking about in that poem you just read, right?
And part of it, yeah. Part of it.
Like I was laying on the ground like nothing would get my teeth back. You know, my blood and everything is laying on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote one just for that whole incident.
All right, let me hear that. But I do got a question for you. Greater Works with Lady T says, sir, what is your greatest inner struggle now? If you could say it.
Okay. My greatest inner struggle now is to stay focused on my physical life. Not the mental part. I got the mental part mastered.
Okay.
But as you know, I just went through a bout of prostate cancer.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, I'm still under the doctor's care. It's not over yet. And I knew people could die, and I knew that I could die, right? But prostate cancer says I'm deaf and I'm coming, right? And I have to adjust myself to fix my body to be like my mind, crystal clear, sharp. Because I felt like my body was lacking or something. I don't know. I want to get married, right?
Okay.
That's a problem. Because I don't have any real income to support a wife. You know, I got family members that I know they look at me crazy and they say, well, you know, Ralph needs to get married, da 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 da. And I want to. I'm not gay. I love women. I mean, I love me some chocolate, right? I love them, you know, for real.
Yeah,
that's why I'm diabetic. But what can I offer her besides my wit, my brains, you know? And now if my body's failing, what do I offer her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna feel guilty about offering her, well, I love you, and we're gonna be close, da da da. And then 2 years from there, boom, I'm out of here. Only thing I leave her is a good insurance policy, you know. And sometimes money don't replace emotional stuff, right? So that's, you know, I don't have one inner struggle. I have several inner struggles, young lady, and then I wanna know how do I even talk to Black women? I don't even talk to y'all. I mean, I don't have any around me. All the old ladies around here in Fremont, all they want to do is get married and go to church and sit on the couch and die. I walk 2-3 miles a day. I do calisthenics. I'm switching off to vegetarian, serious vegetarian diet.
Mm-hmm.
I read everything. I read omnivorously. I read everything written by everybody: Christian, Muslim, the imposter Jews and the real Jews. I read. I read. That was one of the commandments from God, and I take what God said literally. Mm-hmm. I'm not a religious fanatic or nothing like that. But those are my struggles. And some say, well, you know, you ain't got no struggles. Well, I live off a Social Security check. It's less than $800 a month. And I got it worked out to where I survive. Yeah, I got struggles. I got struggles. I try to run a little business here, and you can't get Black people to support you. You know, financially, you know, they'll come by and pat you on the back and say, yeah, they'll go to the food bank and get me 2 cans of pork and beans, knowing I don't eat pork, knowing I'm gonna send it back with them, right? Mm-hmm. And I just wish Black people would give each other the same reverence that we give with the white boy, you know?
Yeah. And you certainly right. Like you said, there's like it's a lot of black on black
Yeah,
crime.
and it starts here. We don't see each other as important enough to save each other. And one of my struggles is I know that we're important to save. If you and I were standing together and somebody pull a gun, I, without hesitation, would step over in front. Because my life means nothing without you.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Hey, let me read that thing. This next one, all right?
Read that now, because we got about 6 more minutes on the air, but we still gonna keep it going.
Okay.
As far as social media.
It's called Myths and Lies. I wrote it while I was in the camp system, just before I came home, 2015. This officer friendly never existed. My name was never nigga boy. That's what the good officer called me. When I came awake from a hit on my head, while they placed leg irons on my wrist, secured me to the bottom of Isolation's grill, 5 of them kicking my face, stomping and kicking my neck, shoulders, chest, nuts, feet, and face, breaking my bones, kicking out my teeth, broken clavicle, cracked breastbone, fractured skull, and bruised hip socket. Officer friendly never existed. Hidden from the world to heal, allowed to sit and simmer about hate being real, learning that white man's law only bows to steal. I didn't cry out, beg, or show any fear. I never asked for any quarter or help. I never got any either. A man has to give as good as he gets. I have to stand up if I want respect. I was born with a target on my back, shocked awake with a smack. The Kalashnikov makes a distinctive crack. That beating went down in 1971, right? And I was emotionally disturbed about it for a long time, but I'm not now. Not because I gave up, I gave in or nothing like that, but it's a moot point because they're all dead. They're all old. They was all old and they time, karma came and got them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good.
So you don't hold any animosity towards them?
No, for years I had a burning rage hatred for years, but it's wasted time, wasted energy. It's like that PTSD the brother was asking about. Why waste your time and energy worrying about stuff that you can't fix? It's out your grip anyway. But if you really believe that God is in charge, then let God be in charge.
I like that. I like that. Somebody need to hear that one right there.
I mean, let's say, wear a mask, it's COVID. God's in charge. Our time has been scripted and laid out for us. Predestination is real.
You said what? Procrastination?
No, predestination.
Oh, predestination, definitely.
When we're born, the one thing that we know is going to happen is that one day we're going to die. We don't know nothing else for sure. So let God be the pilot. Let Gabriel be the co-pilot. I want to sit in the back because it's a limousine ride. I want to look out the window. I want to play Scrabble or chess with the guy in the seat beside me. I want to play Tiddlywink with my toes with the sister sitting across from me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do human things.
Okay.
Okay. Let God do, because God does godly things and man does manly things.
Ooh. And
never shall the two meet. We can't never be gods. We're God's creation. I don't want to be God. I don't want to be responsible for your life. Not like that. No.
Yeah.
No.
That's deep. That's deep, man. Greater Works with Lady T says, keep Psalms 23 in your heart. You are inspiration to many. My brother Mill says, good job, Richard. See you, bro. Salute. Great interview. My sister Felicia Mitchell said, if you really believe God is in charge, then let God be in charge. Hey, look, I like that one. I like that. Like that. You better copyright that one, brother. I might steal that one from you.
It's too late. It's out there. It's too late. It's out there.
Yeah, Cortez Taylor says, shout out to Growing Up Strong Mineral Program. Definitely. He also said he was beat and had his dreads pulled out by police in New York State Department of Correction. But he also said, I still strive for great success and peace because I know that to struggle inside can cause real effect mentally, but yet I still stand up because like you, my brother, I will never let the world keep me on my knees. And definitely, yeah, we definitely have to be strong in the face of these things. Like you said, you know, some things you can't control. So
yeah,
you definitely let God be God, man. That's so for our radio listening audience, we're gonna keep the interview going, you know, without and to get it on social media. But I got a minute left on the radio. Leave them drop a little bit of knowledge for them before they go.
Okay. Life. People say life is short, but they're talking about when they say life is short is that in the eyes of God, life is short. In the scheme of time, dealing with the omnipotent Creator, right?
Yes, sir.
But to me and you, life is long. I've been here 72 years. It's been a long ride, a long journey.
Yeah.
I done turned many corners. In the Quran, it says, verily you'll be tested at every turn. And that's the truth. Every time we turn a corner in our life, it's a test. God puts a test there. He tests us. God wants to know, do you believe?
Do
you believe in me?
With the radio, we'll be back with you next week, 106.9 Awesome Radio.
Lord, I need
Are we here? I can't hear you.
This one. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you now.
Hear me, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that scripture also, I always think about that same scripture. You said man is tested at every turn, but it's also a scripture in the Bible that says man's days are short and full of trouble. You know, I don't know if I think that's in Job, but you know, it says the same thing, you know, and short once again in terms of the relationship to the eternal God, you know, it's short, but it's definitely full of trouble. And also it's a verse that said man's life is like grass. You know, the day it springs up and it's withered away. So that's knowledge, man. That's definitely knowledge. And so what you know caused you to start writing? You know, the writing because your books are called emotional, right?
Yeah.
So what caused you to say that write those, but also with that title? What caused you to name them emotional?
Well, I stuttered really bad. I couldn't get 3 words out most of my young life. And so I started writing things down. You know, things I want to say to people, things I would have said, things that I needed to say. But I you know, I kept a journal. I've lost control or contact with maybe 50 notebooks full of stuff in them. And because the guards would take them and tear them up. You know, they would take them and read them and tear them up because, you know, they was mean like that. A lot of them. And they go right in church on Sunday and sit there and say, praise Jesus, beside people's mothers and grandmothers that they was just inhumane to in the joint the day before, the night before. Still got blood on their hands and under the fingernail. You know, yeah. I take everything with a grain of salt, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a coma. I was in a coma for 8 months, and they was trying to pronounce me dead at one time, but I wouldn't die in the hospital, right? And I was left with those feelings, and I just had to write it down. I just had to write it down. And these books that I have on Amazon are full of all kind of my emotions. I'm an emotional guy. I went to the movies tonight and I was crying. I had to leave out of there. It was called Devotion, the movie Devotion. It's a new movie, right?
Yeah.
It had me crying. I mean, it's been a long time since the movie made me cry, because I've been a hard rock a long time.
Yeah.
Man, I had to jump up out of there. I run up out of there, man. I ran out so fast I left my hat on the floor. I had to go back in there and get my hat.
So you ran out because you didn't want to cry, right?
No, I didn't want to cry out loud. I went to my brother's gravesite. My brother Stuart, he passed away some time ago, in the 2000s, and he's a military vet. He's in a veteran cemetery in Maryland, down on 301. And I love my brother, man, And I was crying so loud and wailing so loud, people ran out the cemetery. You should have seen the white people getting up out of there. But I was crying because the loss. I never got to say goodbye. I just miss him so much, right? And so I don't mind crying, but I don't want to cry and wail out loud, because I got a lot of pent up emotion. I have a lot of pent up feelings, a lot. Right now, I get teary eyed now over stuff. I'm emotional. I'm an emotional guy, right? And I accept that I'm emotional. And any man who is emotional or shows any emotion, who knows that he has, and he doesn't show it, he doesn't acknowledge it, at least to himself, he half a man. He half a man. Because we are born because God gave us a shot, right? And we got a mom and a daddy in our veins. And I know my mama I never saw my mama cry. Or my father. My father died when I was 19. I was incarcerated at the time. But I used to cry all the time. Because I couldn't talk. I mean, I couldn't speak. I couldn't let it out, right? I couldn't just sit down and cry. I remember in 1981, when I first got out of Patuxent, I was living with my sister up in Prince George's County, Maryland, in Hyattsville. And I walked around the block 20 times, crying, trying to get it out my system, trying to get the emotional hurt and pain out my system, right? Because I had a friend of mine, I saw a friend of mine get stabbed in the back and the shank came through his chest. His name was Clayton Chapel. Guy killed him over nothing. Then a friend of mine named Bubbles Lewis, he died from an overdose. And I was working in the hospital at the time, and they brought him up there. He was in a basket. And Bubbles taught me the penitentiary fight. He was an old Lawton than me. Yeah, well, see, fighting in the street is one thing, but when you fight in the penitentiary, you're fighting for your life or your butt cheeks. Okay. Right? Okay. If they catch you without a knife, then and you're in your cell, you don't, I'm no martial artist like that. I know some martial arts, but you wait in the archway of the door.
In the archway, okay.
Right under the archway. All right. That's where you wait at. That's where you present yourself. If he got a shank, if he got a gun, if he got a ball bat, don't care what he got. That's where you wait, because if you're in the archway and you got them steel bulkheads on either side of you, whatever he coming to has got to be straightforward, directly straight. Okay. And can't but one come at a time.
Okay.
And you eliminate that first one, usually the other ones will dip and go and wait for a chance to sneak up on you. But especially if you're not throwing punches, close your eyes and throwing punches like no fool. Especially if he's stepping to you and you step right to him and take these two fingers and stick them right in his eyes. Boom. Then you put him on the blind side. And you get a handful of his shirt and you try to drive the bone up his nose, up into his brain and get rid of him, get him off the planet. Because it's life or death, You're in the penitentiary, it's life or death. In between. There's no, as far as I'm concerned, there's no in between. But, when they get into your head, you come home with that. That's why everybody getting out of prison now needs some therapy. They need a lot of help emotionally and mentally, because they put you through a lot of changes in there. The administration who don't care. They just, and I can't say they was all day white. A lot of them. My worst encounters physically was with multiracial groups of cops. The black ones showing off for the white ones trying to kill me because they hate my color, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like you're an inmate, you're a convict, and we hate you, But how do they hate me? When if I'm not there, they don't get a paycheck.
Yeah. They look at it as that there's more where you come from. I heard them say that, like we just job security.
But when they know that like I was not really the one to be messed with, and they didn't mess with me. Once I got myself established, they leave me alone. Oh yeah, because it's going to cost them. It was going to cost them, and it might cost them their life. They're going to lose an eye. He's going to get a broken jaw. He's going to get he's going to have a lung puncture. He's going to have a shank stuck through his neck. Something. Because you don't play with them. You don't go looking for trouble. You don't go looking to do nothing to nobody like that. You build your program and you work your program. You do your thing, right?
So let me ask you this real quick though. Sorry to cut you off, but so in the last bid though, like you said, you was a little older, right? So
yeah.
Normally, from my experience, as long as the older guy ain't running around, being big and bad, like the young cats don't really mess with you, So doing that last bid, that last 15, did that mindset change from having to live or die, or just having to be like, okay, long as I stay out of these young guys' way, I'm good? And how did your faith also help with that?
Well, you keep the live or die mentality. You just don't apply it like that.
Okay.
With time comes wisdom. You apply wisdom to that situation.
Okay.
They still have to understand that you're a dangerous dude, but you don't have to portray it anymore. You say what you mean what you say. You stay in your lane, stay out of their business, because them youngins is out there chasing dope, or the hustle, and they're on the grind, or chasing boys. I mean, I didn't do dope. I don't hustle. I don't chase boys. Why am I in their business?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, while I was out, I went to Georgia State University and almost became a respiratory therapist. I audited the law classes at Georgia State University for 3.5 years. I graduated with a certificate from Georgia Tech. And I applied some of that education, wisdom, and knowledge to my life. It's just, life it's a long grind. But as the older I get, life's getting shorter.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to bring life to a screeching halt all by myself. So no, I started with now. I had some negative encounters with the BGF, the Black Guerrilla Family, because they're just a bunch of thugs and gangsters. They're not there to save anybody, to help the blacks from the whites and the MS-13 and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're there to extort and exploit anyone that they can, and they do. I I was in the commissary line, and mind you, we was in like a little narrow. It was a little narrow space, about maybe 5 feet, 5.5 feet wide, and about 30 feet long. And the windows on the wall where you get your commissary out. It was just enough space for you to get yours and get back and get out. And I was standing there and I waited all the way till the line got all the way down to, I was like 2 guys back. And this BGF guy, he was a general, a colonel, a captain or something, I don't know. He walks up there and he looked me up and down, then he just stepped over in front of me. So I asked him, I said, what's up? What's your problem? And he got 3 guys with him that was his security. And these was big raw bone brothers, big, you know, they're big guys, right? They was lurking over. I'm 6 foot. They were lurking over me. I said, what are you doing? Fearlessly, like a lion, like the lion that I am.
Yeah.
I'm king of the beast. In my heart, in my brain, I'm an old guy. You know, I got teeth missing. I got my claws ain't like they was.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what's up, man? Why would you disrespect me like that? I got to get my comps. I said, well, get in line like everybody else. He said, I'm in line. I said, no, you're not. You're in front of me. You're not in line, and we're about to have a problem. I said, now, before you go crazy, get behind me in front of this guy who behind me, because he don't care.
Yeah.
He'll let you up. See, but it's gonna be problematic, and ain't nobody gonna get commissary because me and you, we get ready to do it in here. One of the guys leans up and taps him on the shoulder. He said, sir, that's Brother Atif. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
So they took him out, all the way out the commissary. He was foaming at the mouth, angry. I got my little bag, and I wasn't getting nothing but some cookies and some noodles, right? but my locker was like bone dry. You know, I got some tuna fish packs.
Yeah.
I want to make me a jailhouse noodle joint that night. Make me 2 noodles and a pack of tuna, and cut me up some onions and peppers in it, and put me some cheese on it and microwave it.
Yeah.
And have me a casserole, right?
Yeah.
Man, I had my little stuff in my net bag. I came out of there, and there he was. It was like 8 of them now. I said, oh man, they're gonna take my commissary. They might take my life, you know. and I thought to myself, why, you know, why didn't you just let him have it, you know? You know, for real. And he said, when I got to him, he said, hey, I want to apologize for doing that. Say, I didn't know who you were.
Okay.
I said, okay, thanks, brother. And I didn't stay there and talk, because with the Baltimore guys, it's like this. They do a thing called lullaby you. You know, put you to sleep.
Okay.
Get you off your guard.
Okay.
And then run up on you and stick that screwdriver.
Yeah. That's what you thought it was. It might have been a lullaby attempt.
Yeah. So I started looking over my shoulder. I got real nervous, and I ran up out there. I mean, I was walking so fast. The guy walked with me and said, man, why are you walking so fast? I said, man, I got to get back to my cell. I got to get back to my cell, you know. And they pulled me up later. The whole BGF crew pulled me up later. They said, don't worry about it. You're all right. We know you're worried. And I want to say, man, F you, I ain't worried. I don't care nothing about y'all, you know. But I didn't say nothing. The wisdom said, accept it and move on. And that's what I did. I accepted it. They didn't apologize, but they just explained. You know, because when they came like a war council. They came strong. They came with some hitters, right? And I was standing in my archway in the door. I was ready. I had a joint on me though. I had a joint on me. But you know, but the same way they got to come at me straight, I got to go at them straight. You know, I'm at the same disadvantage unless I'm throwing punches straight forward. But man, no, years of struggle and strife make you super sensitive to your surroundings and to what's going on. and you know when people say stuff and they want to take it back, but they said, but the dude, I don't want to take it back. He's too stiff-necked and stupid to say I'm sorry. That's one of the things I do now a lot. When I'm wrong, I said, man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. That's why I guard my tongue. The scriptures say, guard your tongue. Because, your tongue is like a bullet out of a gun. When you put it out there and let it go, hey, you ain't don't pull that boy back. It's going to hit somebody, it's going to hurt them. And the best you can do is, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry. So I watch what I say. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not getting out of line or going nowhere with nobody. That's one thing. This seclusion I have in North Carolina is good for. It keeps me out of people's face. And then I feel like nobody knows me. Nobody has my story. But why is my story so unique? Why am I more important than the next guy? The thing is, until I can do something with my life to help somebody else's life, I'm nobody. I'm not. So our value is rooted in our service to man. That's like I want to thank you so much for letting me get on here and run my mouth and talk. Without you, I don't get this platform, right? I appreciate you, man, to the most. And
it's so much more though to the story though. It's so much more. And my mother, Letta Taylor, says, yes, you got to guard the tongue. And Felicia Mitchell says, life and death is in the power of the tongue. So definitely, thank you guys for confirming that. And I got to watch that too. I noticed when my mama said that. I made a couple of video posts today about, some school board people. And, and I'm trying to think, even while you was talking, I'm trying to say, did I say anything that was really hurtful? And I don't think I did. But, if I did, I definitely, will repent of that. But you have any more of them that you want to read?
Yeah, I'm looking at this now. This one's more like humility. It's about humility, right?
Definitely.
It says, we all end up on the same man's table. I'm talking about the coroner, right? We all end up on that table. We all end up there. Unless we die in the bushes somewhere. It says, one time this man became a problem. Me and my brother were discussing how to stop it. When my brother said, you should be chilling. You've had enough shit in your life. Excuse my language. He said, I should avoid the beef. A fight can grow into a killing. Then the state would come in and rob your life like a thief. That was my baby brother that gave me. He was giving me this wisdom. Because I was on the run and I was at a family reunion in Virginia. And this dude was running his mouth. He was being horrible out of his face. And my first thing was just crack him across the head and be done with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And stopped me in my tracks and said, and made me think about what I was getting ready to do and the repercussions. And I think that in life, people, young brothers, young blacks, they don't think about the repercussions. They don't think about, well, if I do this, what's going to happen next? And it's always the next.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the next.
Yeah, that's actually
I'm trying to find something that excuse me.
Always, Sean Loken said, and that's something I just noticed last night when I was at the prison. I was at a prison. I was talking to some guys. And he was telling me, man, he'd been in jail since he was 17. Man, he said he 40. He was like 49, about to turn 50. Right, he did 32 years, and he said there's a law that's supposed to come up at the beginning of the year where, you know, it was unconstitutional for them to give juveniles life. So he said, hopefully at the beginning of the year, he'll be let out. But if not, he still would have to 2025. So that's 2 more years. Then I talked to another guy, said he was in there for 30 years. And he said that, you know, he had went up for parole a couple of times. He's still waiting for this, you know, this letter, whether he gets denied or, you know, get granted parole. 30 years, 30 years. Then I had another guy. He was going up actually for parole today. You know, I find out what happened to him, you know, next week when I go. But I was just in there with those guys. And, you know, once again, just their humility, first of all, you know, and just the situation, like, man, these guys have been there a long time. And like you was mentioning, like people, you know, the young guys come out here and they do stuff without thinking about what's next until they in that position. I'm like, man, you know, I could have did something different. And you got guys in there, you know, that's thirsty for freedom, you know, ready to get out, but then you got the same guys who taking freedom for granted, pretty much knocking down the door to get in. So, you know, that's just something that, you know, that was on my mind last night.
You know, I've been denied access to get into prisons in Maryland, and given a runaround here in North Carolina because I was trying to get in and talk to the youth, right? Try to tell them, give them the benefit of some of my wisdom, right? But those 2 felony convictions, 2 homicides, keep me pretty much at bay. So I'm trying to get my books in there. Let me read this one.
All right.
This is softer side. This is for the sisters.
Okay.
That's listening, right? It's called Dreadlock Sister.
Dreadlock Sister.
Yeah.
All right.
Nappy, tangled, dark brown at the root. Golden tan, like spun gold on the ends. Your dark olive complexion, full of living melanin. Supple, soft, sweet skin. You, the mother of man in all his skins. You, the sister of man in whatever mind he is in. You, a lost choice for the cradle of civilization. You and I joined at the root by blood and land. In your eyes, I see so much of what we used to be, what we need to be. You are the fertile soil, solid, powerful, created to nurture my seed. I seek to say all of the things that pump like blood in my veins. O ebony woman of burnt land and legend, stories told, come to me, my princess. Slip me into your fold. Hold me and console me at the end of my day. O timeless beauty of darkness, of sweetness untold, mother of mine, sister of my mind, sister to my mind, wife of mine. Bow down with me. We should submit together to God, the creator of our tree. I wanted to put that to the sisters.
Yeah.
Think
about that. I like that as a man. You know?
Yeah. So I wanted to show a side of me that it's not all about prison and hurting and all that stuff. It's about getting back to the sisters and then giving back to the sisters, right?
Beautiful words, sir. Felicia Mitchell said, definitely.
Sisters put so much into us. They do so much for us and stuff we don't even know that they're doing. You know? I mean, sometimes just seeing them would set my heart and my body and my loins and my brain, everything on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't have to be, particularly what they say, good looking.
Mm-hmm.
I look for the prince, the princess, or the queen in the sister. I look for them shoulders back, for them chest out, for the chin up, and I look into them eyes, and I want to see intelligence and seriousness, like my mama, right? Like my mama. I want to see those things in them so that, I only worship God, right? But I want to worship God that's in her.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Worship the God in her. Okay.
Yeah. I want her to feel it. I want my feelings. I'm standing still, right? Not moving, not touching them. But I want her to be able to feel my feelings as if they're tangible, as if they're like right there. I want her to be able to like touch my feelings. I want to let her know I have so much pride in her because she still stands. I had a brother say, man, the sister got big feet, big wide feet. Right?
That's what he said about her.
Yeah. And I looked him in his eye and I said, have you ever been on stilts? He said, no. I said, get on a pair of stilts, the low bottom stilts. I said, and you'll see how hard it is to stand on them low bottom stilts. You don't have no foundation. Suppose you was a woman, you had to carry a baby for 9 months. You got to have them big, them wide, strong, black feet to stand up. Our women were pregnant with babies, one in her gut and one on her back on one shoulder, and a cotton bag, picking cotton on the other shoulder. Right? They withstood so much. Right? No, I'm not gonna slight them in the least.
Definitely, greater works. What Lady T says, beautiful as far as the poem. Letta Taylor says, giving back to the sisters, and that's what we definitely have to do, man. Pay homage to our sisters, our mothers, the mothers of, like you said in the poem, the mothers of civilization, basically.
Yeah. Hey, the happiest time of my life, except when I was a boy, when I was a little boy, my mom used to put my head in her lap and cradle me there. That was fun. That was nice. Because I was getting that attention, right?
I remember those days.
I had a woman. We had a house in Stone Mountain. Her name is Kepra. And she might be listening to this, and I don't care. I need her to know I still love her, right down to her dirty drawers, But I can't never have her, can't never be with her. I messed that money up, right? But I put my big head in her lap, and she just caressed it. And I was so happy. I was so fulfilled and so calm, and I felt so loved. Women can do that. Women, they can soothe the savage beast, man.
Mm-hmm.
For real. But I messed that money up, man.
I messed that money up. Sometimes you just got to go ahead and admit it, man, and move on, let bygones be bygones, as they say.
Hey, when I got out of prison in 2015, I went to Atlanta. My first stop when I left DC was to her door. I knocked on the door. She let me in and set me down at the kitchen table. We were civil. It was friendly. It was civil, but it was too civil. I thought she's very magnanimous. She's let it go, right? And I really didn't do much. We were living together, and I think she told me that, Atif, you have to go. I think that's what she told me. Because at the time, I was becoming diabetic really bad. And, that affects your libido. So, I couldn't do my homework, right? And I didn't get angry or nothing like that. And I tried to make up for it by building stuff around the house and the grass. But she loved me, but she let me go. Because had I tried to talk it out with her, it might have worked, but I didn't. I just said, okay. I packed my stuff and left. And she took that as,
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's good. He said, okay, she asked you a question. Cortez Taylor said, yeah, you want her to know that without her, there is no us. And that's definitely true, brother. It's definitely true. Greater work with Lady T says, sir, do you have a podcast? Because you probably need one. Do you have a podcast?
No, I don't. And I'm challenged on that level because I'm trying to sell as many books as I can to put some money in my pocket, so I can maybe go get some stuff and set up a podcast. Because I have the space here. I mean, I can set it up and do that. But
all right, so let the people know how they can get your books. Your poetry book. And once again, I forgot that I forgot them again. I don't know. Man, I'm gonna have to bring them next time. I don't even. I got all 4 of his books. So, but where can the people get your books? Let them know.
You can go to Amazon Books. Look up Ralph Wilkins, and the names of the books are Emotional 2, Emotional 3. There's a short story called The Old African, and then there's a book by the name of The Sayings of Samad. That will give you some understanding of where my head is today and how it got there. The stuff I read, stuff I absorbed out of other books and from other people. Because I'm a happy man. I enjoy myself. The only thing missing in my life is a woman. Mm-hmm. The right one, not just a female.
Not just anyone.
And she got to be black. And she got to love God, but I'm not trying to do nothing with no Christian, because sooner or later they're gonna say, let's go to church, and we're gonna
So okay, let me, because I assume when you was younger, you went to church. Like every black person probably, was raised in the church, right?
Yeah, I was raised in a Methodist church right up the street from where we live, in Falmouth Heights, Maryland. And we had a preacher that was begging for money all the time to get a new organ, a piano. When I was 7 years old and when I was 10 years old, he was still trying to get the same organ, the same piano. So
maybe
I used to take my money.
Real expensive, maybe it was a real expensive organ.
I don't know. I know that my mom would give me money to put in the plate, but I had to go by a rental store to get there. Only thing I could put in the plate is candy wrappers.
Well, we all had that now. Mine, I mean, I know she listened, but we used to go to the store, save that money. I put a little bit in there for you, though. I put, especially if they gave me quarters, I put 50 cents in there and take the other 50 cents to the store.
I didn't put nothing in there.
Yeah, man. So, like I said, and then your books are also on Amazon too, right?
Yeah. I'm on Amazon. But they're order on demand in Books A Million. Well, the two of them in Books A Million, and I think the same 2 are in Barnes and Noble. But Amazon would be the full list of my works. Let me do this one.
All right.
It's called My Bald Head. It's called My Bald Head. This was when I was in Atlanta and I was on Revolutionary Time, right?
Okay.
I was a member of the New Black Panther Party under Khalid Muhammad. A lot of y'all don't know who that was.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I definitely know who Khalid Muhammad is.
I was in security for about 2 months. That's because I have lightning fast hands and very, very serious kicks.
Okay.
You know, it's called my ball head. Just making you hear thoughts from the dead. You seem to have crazy thoughts in your head. Getting you to hear us is like running a race from your bed. My head is bald because the hair fell out. I didn't have to shave it. I couldn't save it. While my fire has no sound, silenced by words from a hate-filled page. My fire is quiet to the ear, born in the black man's fear, silenced by words from a hate-filled rage. Windows surrounded by a cage from my shade, not my rage. My bald head on tight. My bald head, bald from the heat, bald and bleeding from the fight, from protest and revolution. The black man trying to save our streets, struggling to bring about the solution. My bald black head, bandaged, gashed, gassed, and red, shaved so the trophies of struggle can be seen. You don't need to know why I am mean. Murder the image of fathers and mothers, powder our people's minds, blind them with desire, promote the gun and the shiny, fun one. You came off the cross to inflict the cause. Why am I angry? Why in a rage? Why do I rattle my cage? Why not? Shackles of ignorance, death, and destruction, tricked into indifference, brainwashed into self-hatred, self-loathing, and self-destruction. My bald black head hurts from the lumps and bumps. Hair would not change the reality of my suffering and pain. My bald, busted black head has no hair. Soon, your white self will not be able to hide nowhere. Why the hell not?
Yeah, that's revolutionary right there.
I spent years on the front line trying to educate our people in Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm.
In South Atlanta, and some in South Carolina. I done went head to head, nose to nose with white racists. Head to head, nose to nose with black detractors, I'll call them, to our neighborhoods. You know, them dope boys. I've been in scuffles with white boys and never got really hurt. Got my head busted once, a knuckle scraped up. But when I started trying to really deal with the drug situation in Atlanta on the West End, I got a 40 caliber round in my hand, and a whole bunch of death threats, you know, from a group called the Bloods.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I'm no longer on the front line like that. Not out there like that. I was trying to get on the front line with the kids who are locked up, because you know when they're locked up, they're a captive audience. Mm-hmm. And hey, let me tell you something. About the situation with the gangs. You know why we have gangs?
Well, I know why they supposedly started. You know, like you know, the Bloods and the Crips supposedly started as protection against the police in LA when they used to beat the you know, they used to be real bad, but you know it morphed into something different. But go ahead and tell me why if I was wrong.
Well, no, you're right about LA. I don't know about LA. I just know about the East Coast and prisons.
Okay.
When we had the Nation of Islam actively recruiting members in prison, you know, that was the strongest, most positive force that they could run into. And gangs could not get a foothold because when the young brothers came in, the Nation of Islam pulled them up put them in a white shirt and a bow tie, and had them marching like soldiers. They engaged their mind, they engaged their bodies, they engaged them, and kept them from doing all that. The worst thing that could have happened was when Louis Farrakhan pulled back. He pulled back. They didn't make him pull back, I don't think, but he pulled back, and they stopped recruiting. And next thing you know, the gangs started getting big, flourishing. Now, you can't get them now to join the Nation of Islam in prison, because the gangs have the dope that they like, the weed that they like. They have like the Shining Fun ones, all that stuff, man. I think that the Nation of Islam, I don't follow them. I like a lot of the stuff that Farrakhan says about our social issues and stuff, about how to deal with stuff. But, when he gets into some of that other stuff, he kind of, lose me,
Yeah.
When he talk about God came in the person of Prophet Muhammad, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Because the Quran says that Muhammad would be the seal of the apostles, the prophets that will come. After Muhammad comes, will come Jesus, Isa, heralding the end of time, the end of days, right? So, no. But you get them kids something to do, like the government shut down all the daycares and all the after school things and the
exactly. And the trades, they took the trades out of school.
And they took the trades out, they took real education out, and that left room for the gangs. So every time a public official tell me he's gonna do something about gangs, I write him off. I would never vote for him.
Yeah. You got to do something to prevent the get from people from good. You got like you said, you got to give them something to do, and that's one thing that I always did like about the nation. Like they took guys from the streets, and they took them in and taught them how to be men. And that's I shoot, like when I was in Virginia, I see them right on the corner talking to the dope boys.
Yeah.
They would be right on, like literally handing out, inviting them to the mosque and everything. Out there, they smoking, drinking, and gambling, and packing guns. But then I looked around and I saw like 5 churches, 5 Christian churches, like right across the street. But none of those people, went and reached out to the guy. So actually that same day, that next Sunday, I said, okay, I'm gonna go to the mosque just because I respect them for coming out, even though I'm not a Muslim. But I was like, man, if these brothers are out here, in the hood, Berkeley, Norfolk, Virginia. If anybody been in North Virginia, Berkeley, they know what I'm talking about. But I mean, they was out there, like, bold. And I was like, man, give me that. Where y'all masjid at? I think that's what we call it. And I went there, and I heard him on the big screen. I think the light-skinned guy was talking. It wasn't Farrakhan, it was the what was his name? Nuri Muhammad, I think. One of those. But I said all that to say, man, that there's something about when you go out into the streets and try to, when you have that courageousness to go out into the streets, and look those guys in the face, like you said, like you used to do. Look them in the face and be like, hey, and they don't come probably like y'all was coming. I know how, I know how the Panthers used to come, like, nah, y'all got to stop selling that or else. I think that's how y'all used to do it, but they, they come with a more humble approach, but, try to show them a different way.
Yeah. The new Black Panthers, we were building during the years of Khalid Muhammad, right? We were building. And there's a lot of things. He tried to steer me away from it, but they was like stopping the little kids in front of my house, giving them geek joint. That's weed and crack. Middle school kids and the little girls. And I went over and approached them and stopped them. I said, no, you can't do that. And they threatened to take my life. They tried to take my life. But that was in response to some stuff I did to them.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, look, so it's going on 10 o'clock, man. We got to go ahead and shut it down, man. But if there's anything else you want to leave with the people, of course, we're going to have you back. It might not be next week, it might be next year, but, I know it's a lot more wisdom you got to give us.
Yeah, I'm looking for a short one, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think we got time for one more. We got time for one more piece.
Okay.
Love you too, my brother. Cortez says, love you, brother Atif.
Yeah. Hey, I got nothing but love for you, brother Cortez.
Definitely.
Says, this one's called "Hear Me."
All right.
I wake up screaming in my mind, wet with sweat, panic and cold, only to find that fear had hijacked my dream, crushed my night, and has my chest bursting at the seams. My crazy, fluttering, jumping chest. From my palpitating heart, I get no rest. I'm fighting my own fear-filled thoughts. I'm trying to inject some peace and calm, trying to apply the prayers and yoga that I've been through, calling on God to be my shield and buckler. That's from Psalms, right? Knowing that I am not ready to rest in his arms. I have a voice deep inside of me. Can you hear me? That's it.
My brother Cortez said, I hear you. He said, I hear you. Definitely, man. It's been a pleasure, man. If y'all want to reach out to my brother, Teef, you can, you can inbox me. I got his information. He says, I love that as well. Make Allah continue to guide your steps. And, once again, I just want to thank everybody who listened to the program. Brother Taylor, Pete Don, Lady T, Sister Mitchell, Danielle Green, Sean Locust, Pat Williams, everybody, Mills, definitely a thank y'all, man, for just my mother, Letta Taylor, Sean Locust, once again, everybody who tuned in, man, we definitely want to, just extend our gratitude to you. Hope you guys check us out next week. Don't know who the guest will be, but I'm sure if I can't find another guest, I know my brother will be ready to help me out, if I need him again. But like I said, if any last thing that you might want to say to the audience before you go, brother Atif.
Thank you for listening. I've been called a lot of things. I bill myself as truth teller, not the truth teller, but truth teller. And everything I said came from me and not from God. If I've said anything to offend you, I'm sorry. I apologize. If I've said anything to uplift you, to make you that was positive, then give that glory to God. Because I'm just a tool, and I've been taken through a lot. I've been spared. My life's been spared many times, so I can just maybe not be a light to somebody, but show them what a light is, so that they can go and get it. Because being a light for people is a burden that I don't want. But I'm gonna tell you what a light is. It's like right here and right here. But you connect the two and effect balance in your life. Because balance is the light. Balance. God is balance. Balance is God. To connect the two, that spark of God in you, it's just, connect it and let it burn, and then touch somebody else with that same feeling. Because we're in dire needs. We have to come together. We have to come together. But no, don't be no fool and jump out there, because there's a lot of people that are of Satan, and they'll do you wrong, do you dirty. But use your test, take your time, go slow, make yourself correct, and let them come. Let them you draw. You draw them to you like be a flame, and let people be a moth.
Okay.
You put a light on in the summertime on the front porch, you get all kind of flying moths out there. Let that be the people coming to you, and don't give them nothing. Just show them where it's at. Let them go get it themselves. That's how you keep your ranks pure. Simple.
I thank you, man, and once again, may God continue to bless you. You definitely we're gonna do some things. I might gotta wait for you to get into the prison, at least the one that I go to. But I'll talk to the guys I know there, and maybe you can ride down there with me one day. It's an hour and a half away, but if you really want to get in there, I think that might be a start. But yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. Once again, Felicia Mitchell says, thank you, sir. May God's peace surround you forever. Thank you for a great show, Richard. Thank you for tuning in as well. And we're going to see y'all again next week. May God's blessings and peace rest upon each of you all. And you guys have a great and excellent night. Till next time, and we bid you peace and blessings. Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Bye-bye, brother.